Welcome back, my Duelist friends. Casual Duelist here, and I've got another deck for you. Today, I wanted to get to the Solfachords, which I've been practicing and trying out and had to do some new things. And then, unfortunately, due to the water damage, again, I'm sorry I keep bringing it up, I actually did make some substitutions. So I had to get used to that as well. But I finally have a real masterclass or master game all cards a real deck again. So I'm going to try to shake up my own format here a little bit. So bear with me. I'm going to try to do engines instead of just everything alphabetical this time. So the first thing I'm going to start off with is 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Again, just like the generically best hand trap. And I don't know, maybe you guys could see a little bit of the creasing. I think I might have to replace these. They did get hit a little bit. Absolutely, you guys can swap this out for Effect Veiler or the hand trap of your choice. It's just my favorite. It's my go-to, so 3. Going into the Solfachord characters, I'm using 2 copies of Coolia. I will be using 3 copies of Cutia. I will be using 3 copies of Fancia. Very cool. 1 copy Angelia. 1 copy Alicia. At least I'm assuming that's pronounced Alicia, like Elite, Alicia, Alicia. Makes sense. 3 copies of Dreamia. 3 copies of Gracia. And to round out those, 1 copy Beautia. Moving on to some of the tech monsters that I added to this. I'm actually playing some more pendulum stuff. We're going to be using 3 copies of the Mythical Beast Jackal King, as well as 3 of the Mythical Beast Master Cerberus, or Cerberus. No, Cerberus, I was right. Additionally, 2 copies Supreme King Dragon Darkworm, and a single Supreme King Gate 0. And this will round out your monsters. It's very monster heavy. I want to say it was 26. I'm more than happy to give you guys a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 29 monsters. Seems like a lot, but you got to remember, you're going to be throwing people into the scales too, so it works out. Running 2 copies Dragon Shrine. This is for our Supreme Kings. Single Foolish Burial, because again, this works for that. 1 for 1, because again, we do have 1 stars that we get to play. We're going to maximize out both spells, the Solfachord Elegance, as well as Solfachord Harmonia, which is actually our field spell, which is actually really good for us. And then I just kind of wanted to add 1 of the Trap Musica to it. And this will round this out to a full 40-card main deck for you guys. Moving over to the extra deck, I'm still doing this the same way. So we're going to go over the Fusion first. It's Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon, because again, we can do the double up to 8 and get into the Odd Eyes Absolute. So we want to make sure that we get that extension on the play. To our Xyz, I'm using a single copy of Abyss Dweller. I teched in Dingarusu, the Orchestra of the Evening Star this time. I got my I have my Exiton Knight. There's our Odd Eyes Absolute. And I figured, why not throw in Tornado Dragon? Again, these spots were like Underworld Goddess and Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos, because again, we had some relatively high-ranked characters, so I felt the want to put them in there. I had to mod some of that stuff out. Over to our links, we got good old Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess. We've got everybody's favorite Boral Sword Dragon, IP Masquerena. Gonna still be rocking Cerberus, Phoenix, and of course Unicorn. Get the triple nightmares going. I am running a single Link Karibo, because again, we do have those level 1 opportunities here. Another play that benefits us there is Relinquished Anima. And then 1 copy Selene, Queen of the Master Queen of the Master Magicians. And again, this is more for the last effect. This gives us a great way to start special summoning back people, especially since there are some spellcasters to this deck. So, if you guys were just here for the deck list, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to stop by and check this out with us. I do hope that you guys have a great day. And of course, if this helped you or this was helpful, if you enjoyed it, maybe consider subscribing if you haven't already. I am trying to beat 1,000 by the end of next month. And it'd be kind of cool if we did that. And I'm also going to do a little combos video. I'm going to show you guys a couple of like the quick setups that you can do. Probably won't do too much in the way of test hands. But I'll show you a couple of the combos, and it'll be really cool. I'll probably have that out tomorrow, let's be honest. So for everybody that just came here for that, you guys have a great day. I'll see you guys in the next video. Everybody else, I'm going to just adjust that camera just a tiny bit. Let's go over some effects and get to know the Solfachords, all right? So again, we can pretty much breeze over Ash Blossom or whatever your hand trap of choice is. Again, we're at the beginning of another meta, so Ash Blossom just seems to come in clutch way more often. But you know what? Effect Veiler's a good option. Ghost Ogre's still a good option. Ghost Bell's coming up every now and again because there's some more to discard. Reanimation, you know, Monster Reborning. So that is going to help. Let's dive into the Solfachords, though. So the first one is Coolio. We do have a scale 1. And again, it seems like the higher their star level, the lower their scale. The lower their star level, the higher their scale. Just so that you guys can take a quick note of that. Coolio's scale ability is going to say that your opponent cannot activate a spell, trap, or monster effect when your Solfachord pendulum monster or monsters is pendulum summoned. Kind of gives you a quick interrupt-free ability to board your characters, and then what happens from there is really up to you. As a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand by attributing 2 pendulum monsters. And again, special summon, very good, especially since we could do this immediately after a pendulum. You can only use each of the following effects of Coolio once per turn. You can target a face-up card your opponent controls, or up to 2 cards if you have an odd pendulum scale in your pendulum zone. Negate its effects until the end of your opponent's turn. When the effect of a monster on the field is activated with an equal or lower attack than the highest pendulum scale in your pendulum zone. I read that wrong. Let me try that one more time. When an effect of a monster on the field is activated with an equal or lower attack than the highest pendulum scale in your zone times 300. So again, if it's the 8 scale is the highest, 8 times 3, 24. If the monster is 2,400 or less, you can destroy that monster. Now, it does not say anything about negating the effect. So again, if it's something that does not need the monster to stay on board for resolution, then this is mostly like Ghost Ogre. Which again is one of the reasons I went with Ash Blossom, because that effect was already present in the deck. Scaling off to Cutia. Again, this is a 1, so we get a scale 8. Simple effect here. Pendulum summons of your Solfachords cannot be negated. Fantastic. Monster effects. When you have an even pendulum scale in your zone, Solfachord pendulums you control gain attack equal to 100 times their own scale. So in this case, she would gain 800. Which is, again, fine. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add 1 Solfachord pendulum monster from your deck to the hand, except same name, and you can only use this effect once per turn. Again, this is fantastic. This is another reason why we didn't run too many spells in our deck. This is already going to tutor out any of our monsters for the most part, at least for the archetype. Moving over to Fancy, again, we maximize this at 3. This is a 4, got a scale 9, or a scale 5. Sorry, the gimmick here is that the scales and the levels always equal 9. Just a bit of trivia. I'm sure somebody's already noticed that by now. Again, pendulum summons of your Solfachord pendulum monsters cannot be negated, and I might as well just say Solfachord monsters because, again, they don't have a non-pendulum right now. Monster effect, while you have an odd scale in your zone, if your Solfachord pendulum monster would be destroyed by battle, you could destroy this card instead. During the main phase, you can add 1 Solfachord pendulum from your deck to your extra deck face up. So again, with the way that these guys work, pendulums in general, and again, when I do the how-to series on the different special summoning mechanisms, we will cover this a little more in depth. This is essentially Foolish Burial for pendulum because, again, as long as it's on top of our extra deck face up, we can, special summon it to either one of the extra zones, or if we have a link monster, let's just grab one real quick, doesn't matter who, so Celine. we can special summon them to the zones that the link is pointing to. These guys still go by, like, I think it was Master Rule 4. Master Rule 5 never helped out the pendulums again. Which, again, is totally fine. But this is essentially going to be a creative way of activating a Foolish Barrel-esque effect by placing them onto your deck. And again, you can only use this effect once per turn, which is fine. Which is going to give us kind of more search power. We do have the single Angelia. Again, 6 and 3 for the level and scale. When your opponent cannot activate a spell, trap, or monster effect when your pendulum monster is pendulum summoned. Again, this is for the Solfacords only. While you have an odd pendulum scale in your zones, if your Solfachord pendulum monster attacks, your opponent cannot activate spell, trap, or effects until the end of the damage step. Now, this is very reminiscent of a mix between the Ancient Gear archetype and the way that Utopia S39 the Lightning works. Very good, very damaging. Additionally, during the main phase, you contribute summon one Solfachord pendulum monster, even if it is face down. And if you do, special summon a Solfachord pendulum monster from your deck whose pendulum scale is 2 higher or lower than that monster except same name. Use this effect only once per turn. I do have to apologize. All the dogs are going insane right now. I'm assuming there's a cat walking through the front yard, and I truly apologize. Going over to Alicia, we got the 3 to 6 between level scale. Pendulum summons of Solfachord pendulum monsters cannot be negated as a monster. While you have an even scale in your zone, you take no damage from battles involving your Solfacords. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can target a spell trap the opponent controls and bounce that to the hand using each effect once per turn. And this can help kind of get a field spell off the field. Like, let's say you're playing up against something crazy like, I don't know, Gravekeepers. You do want to get Necro Valley off the field because, again, this will allow you not only to maybe break the back row, depending on how many of the continuous spell traps they're playing, but additionally, that, like, in that instance alone, you're actually freeing up your discard pile for use again. So very cool, very strong. Not as pertinent right now because, again, back row is not a huge thing. And there are decks like Gladiator Beasts that want to use things like Fire Formation Tanky, where we're actually going to give them an extra play out of the card. And we do want to try to minimize playing into our opponent's effects as much as possible. We do want to run a maximized out 3 Dreamias. Again, pendulum summons of the Solfachord pendulums cannot be negated. Level 2 to a 7 scale. While you have an odd scale in your zone, if a Solfachord pendulum monster card or cards you control would be destroyed by opponent card effect, you can destroy this instead of one of those cards. If you control a Solfachord card in your pendulum zone, you can special summon this card from your hand, making this one of the most simple extenders for you to play. And one of the best ways for you to start building a board. Now, again, that special summon is only going to be once per turn, but that's fine. We do have the 3 Gracias. This is going to be a 5, so Pendulum 4. Your opponent cannot activate spell trap monster effects when the Solfachord Pendulum monsters is Pendulum summoned. So again, this is the other half of that protection one more time. While you have an even scale in the zone, if your Solfachord Pendulum monster attacks, your opponent cannot activate monster effects until the end of the damage step. So I guess I could have said monster card, it's just kind of redundant. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Solfachord spell trap from your deck to your hand. You can only use this once per turn. Again, we maximize this because we do want to see Elegance and we do want to see Harmonia. And on the off chance that you have the opportunity to play Musica, you can search that too. So, very cool. Last Solfachord Beautia, and again, this is going to be the one that's in scale, will stop the spell trap or monster effect response to the pendulum summons. As a monster, you do get a quick effect. You can target one effect monster your opponent controls, or if you have an even scale, you can target a face-up spell trap your opponent controls this turn. Banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use this effect once per turn. Once per turn at the start of the damage step, if this card battles battles a monster with an equal or higher attack than the lowest pendulum scale in your pendulum zone times 300, destroy that monster. So again, this one was really in here just to kind of say, like, played the full setup of them, you guys could totally switch this out. You could increase one of the other ones if you like. And maybe if you have the Psy frames, you could swap out the Ash Blossoms and this and play that little engine as well. That's another good option for you guys. Let's get over to the Mythical Beasts real quick. So the first one is Jackal King, scale effect. If you have no card in your other scale, you can destroy this card if you do special summon one face-up Mythical Beast Pendulum from your extra deck except Jackal King. This is a great way to get out Master Cerberus. As a monster, each time a spell is activated, it gains 2 counters, 2 spell counters, when that spell resolves. And then once per turn, when an opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can remove 2 spell counters from this, negate the activation, and destroy the card. This is going to give us a lot of board control and some spot removal at the same time. Very cool. And then you do have Cerberus, and it's important to note that these are really your spellcasters. So this is the reason Selena's in here, is to give you an extra way to play these guys. Master Cerberus as an effect, as a scale. If you have no other card in the Pendulum Zone, you can destroy this card, and if you do, add a level 7 or lower Mythical Beast effect monster from your deck to your hand, using this effect only once per turn. So the real goal is to play Cerberus first, pop him, get the Jackal King to your hand, set your scales, play your Jackal King, and then, or additionally, you could just, go ahead and just play the Jackal King, break it, and board the Cerberus too. There's a couple different ways that you could go about this. Just on like 1-2 things, and I'll show you guys that in the combos video, honestly. Rest of the effect, each time a spell card is activated, place 2 spell counters on this on resolution. Cannot be destroyed by card effects while 4 or more spell counters are on the field. Once per turn, you can remove 4 spell counters from the field, target a monster the opponent controls, banish it face up, and if you do, this card gains attack equal to the banished monster's original attack until the end of the opponent's turn. So it already starts off as a pretty decent beat stick at that 28-28, but it shows that it does have some room to grow, and it's fantastic, honestly. Going into the Dragon Engine, you do have the 2 Dark Worms. As a scale, once per turn, if you control no monsters, you can place 1 Supreme Gate Pendulum monster from your deck into the Pendulum Zone. You cannot Pendulum summon except Dark for the remainder of this turn. So again, you guys gotta just take a quick look through here. Again, this is just for Jackal King, really. Now, as a monster, if this is normal or special summoned, you can add 1 Supreme King Gate Pendulum from deck to hand. If this is in your graveyard and you control no monsters, you can special summon this card. You can use each monster effect once per turn. Honestly, I use this a lot with like the Foolish Burial and just bringing things back to make bigger boards. That's really my play there. And Gate 0 has a 0, which is kind of cool. If you control a Supreme King Z-Arc, you take no damage once per turn. If you have a Supreme King Gate Infinity in your other zone, you could destroy both cards. And if you do add Polymerization Spell or Fusion Spell from deck to hand, kind of outdated since we have, Predaplant Verde Anaconda. As a monster, once per turn, you can target one of the face-up cards you control, destroy both it and this. If you do special summon 1 Dragon-type Fusion or Synchro from your extra deck, its attack and defense becomes 0 with its effects negated and cannot be used as material for a Synchro or Xyz. Can be used for Link. If this card in the monster zone is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can place this card in your Pendulum Zone, which is also very cool. Kind of advanced. Again, you guys don't need to play the dragon stuff to have fun. You guys can put in some more of the actual traps from the deck. Again, we're going to run the Dragon Shrine, send a dragon monster from the deck to the graveyard. Since we're not running dragons, normal type dragons, we don't need to worry about that. So this is Foolish Burial for the dragon portion. And then you have Foolish Burial for the regular portion. 1 for 1, send a monster card from your hand to the discard pile. Special summon a level 1 from your hand or deck. We do run the Triple Elegance. Activate one of the following when you play this. Place 1 Solfachord Pendulum from your deck to the zone. Add 1 Solfachord Pendulum monster from your hand to your extra deck face up. Then place 2 Solfachord Pendulum monsters, 1 odd and even, from your deck into the zones. Or add 2 cards, 1 odd and even pendulum scale from your pendulum zones to the extra deck face up, and if you do, draw 2 cards. You can only activate one of these effects per turn, but there are plenty of setup opportunities with this spell. With the field spell Harmonia, you can activate one of the following. You could choose to add one face-up Solfachord pendulum from the extra deck to your hand. Increase the pendulum scale of a Solfachord in the zone by its level this turn. Or if you control Solfachord pendulum monster cards with at least 3 different even pendulum scales or different odd pendulum scales, destroy a card your opponent controls. You can only use each effect once per turn. Very cool. Definitely has some play to it. And then real quick, the last card, the Trap, the Solfachord Musica. Activate one of these effects based on the scales of monsters that you control. If it's odd, special summon a face-up pendulum Solfachord with an odd scale from your extra deck. If even, special summon a face-up Solfachord pendulum monster with an even scale from your extra deck. If both, target one card your opponent controls, destroy it. You can only activate one of these per turn. So again, it's sort of like a little Monster Reborn thing. You can resolve it. It's not super important though. So I mean, honestly, you guys could just play Monster Reborn if you really want. But honestly, this lets you play it from the extra deck. So another thing you could do is the trap card Pendulum Reborn. Would be just about the same thing. Going over to the extra deck real quick, we do have the Odd Eyes Vortex. We will be playing this off of Absolute's effect. So let's skip to the effect here. When this is special summon, target an opponent's face-up attack position monster, bounce it. When a spell, trap, or another monster's effect is activated, quick effect, shuffle one face-up pendulum from your extra deck into the deck, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy the card. Each effect once per turn. But again, we are playing a full-on pendulum deck. As long as you can overlay 8, overlay 7, you should be fine. Abyss Dweller's here to take care of graveyard effects. You have Dingerous Orchist because, again, you can when you do play this, you can send a card your opponent controls to the graveyard. It's just another rank 8 that we can resolve in here because we do play some 8s. We do have the Exciton Knight. Again, if you get behind, don't feel at all bad about nuking the board. Within 2 cards, you can just go ahead and just replay an entire field. The Odd Eyes Absolute, any 2 7s. When any player's monster declares an attack, detach material from this, negate the attack, then you can special summon one Odd Eyes from your hand or graveyard. If this is Xyz summoned if this Xyz summoned card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Odd Eyes from the extra deck except Absolute. Use each effect once per turn. This is what we're gonna do. So you're gonna play this. You can negate an attack if you want to, or you could just immediately link it to go into something a bit bigger, and then board your Vortex Dragon and still get a bounce. Tornado Dragon's here to take care of back row. With the links, Apollosa's here to take care of monster effects. Boral Sword is here to crush over things. Again, not everybody can afford $100 for access code talker, but this guy was like $5 the last time I looked, so that's good. IP Masquerade lets us play a little link on our opponent's turn, which is very cool. We do have the Cerberus, and again, when we play these, we discard a card to perform an effect, destroy a special summon monster, destroy a spell trap, take a card your opponent controls, and put it back in their deck. Link Karibo can just resurrect itself and also 0 the account of a monster's attack when it's attacking by tributing itself. It can also reboard itself by tributing a level 1 monster to special summon it back. Each effect of it is once per turn. You do have the Relinquished Anima play option here. And again, this is very much based on whether or not your opponent has played across from a pendulum zone, at which point you'll take your 1, play to the appropriate zone, and vacuum cleaner the card in. The last one is just a little bit of tech, and that is Selene, Queen of the Master Magicians. This requires 2+ monsters. At least one has to be a spellcaster, so in this case, we have to have played either Cerberus or Jackal King, that's his name. I just didn't want to go back through the deck. If this card is linked summon, place spell counters on it equal to the number of spells on the field and in the graveyards. Again, this could be a huge amount. It doesn't need to be a huge amount. The next effect is Null and Void because we don't run any Edmund cards in this deck. Third effect, once per turn during the main phase. Quick effect, you can remove 3 spell counters from your field. Special summon 1 spellcaster from your hand or graveyard in defense position to a zone this card points to. And what this is going to do is, again, with that Foolish Burial, we should be able to send our Cerberus to the discard pile. and this is just kind of just a generic thing that we can do. Again, honestly, its attack, it never really came up, so consider this like a free zone for building. I just thought it was fun to do something with a couple little sub-engines in this deck. I do hope that you guys enjoyed this. And again, it should be up tomorrow. I should have a couple like little scenarios ready for you guys to show you guys just like how to build the field or to start the combos. All right. Okay, you guys just do me one more favor now, okay? And I think you guys already know what it is. Please have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.